All right, people with a bull run, it is time we discuss some other cryptos announcements. We'll also talk a little bit about Richard Hart in a while, or Richard J. Schuler, as many of you know him. So let's actually talk about other investments in crypto. I'm talking about crypto stocks. Usually we talk about coins, but get this, I do believe crypto stocks overall will outperform Bitcoin, even from now on forward. And you can actually look at this year's performance for crypto stocks. For instance, let's take a look. You can see that I have four up. Coinbase, everyone knows, grew from $32 to $175 for about 5x gains. Now, the thing is, for about 5x gains, that is more than Bitcoin went up this year. Bitcoin's gone a little bit more than 2x. MicroStrategy has gone from 147 to 619 for about 4x gains. Still more than more than Bitcoin. Marathon Digital, $3 to 26, 9x gains. This is like altcoin gains territory, folks. And Riot stock price from $3 to $17, about 6x gains. So you're seeing that the mining stocks are having almost like altcoin-like gains pretty much in a bull run. And Coinbase and MicroStrategy are swiftly outperforming Bitcoin almost at that altcoin performance territory, but not quite as good as Marathon or Riot. So, there's more than one way to invest in the crypto market if you want to diversify into stocks. I think that's actually a fairly good idea. Which one of these should you buy? Well, you might be thinking, well, Bitcoin's going to reach an all-time high next year, and most likely, I believe that too. I think it is. You might be thinking, well, Marathon and Riot are the way to go because they have bigger ROIs. But let's not forget there's a halving event, and that could actually monumentally impact Bitcoin mining stocks. And it won't actually impact Coinbase and MicroStrategy because they don't have the costs to mine. So they don't quite have all the costs. They just buy and hold Bitcoin and trade. So the cost to mine doesn't actually affect them, but it directly affects both Marathon and Riot. In fact, some miners are not going to be able to make it next year because mining costs will double. Now, I think the price of Bitcoin will go up and compensate that, of course. But I think the minimum price after the halving will be about $40,000 to $50,000 per Bitcoin to even break even. So I'm not really sure about mining stocks for that reason because their cost could get too high for them to actually function until about later next year. So there's probably going to be a 3-4 month delay where there might actually be in limbo. So definitely there's going to be trouble for mining stocks next year, at least in that time period. And I'm not really sure what Marathon Digital Holdings and Riot Platforms, I'm actually it's Marathon Digital Holdings, so I'm not really sure if they mine or if they just get Bitcoin or whatever. But for any company that mines Bitcoin, there definitely might be some trouble, and there actually might be some losses at least for a couple of months in that period of time. And they've sustained a bear market worth of crappy Bitcoin profits via mining, so I'm not really sure how much more they can sustain. If they make it through, they will probably be the most profitable stocks out there, but I cannot guarantee you that they will actually make it through all the time. Coinbase and MicroStrategy, on the other hand, I feel like are just so much safer because they don't have to deal with that. Once Bitcoin goes up, halving or not, there's going to be more transactions. More people are going to be sucked into crypto. More people are going to be trading via Coinbase, more fees. And of course, we all know what their plans are with derivatives in the secondary market. Coinbase is going way up, and they're going to be very solid. So, and MicroStrategy, of course, their main business is just buying Bitcoin. Yes, they make software, but no one gives a crap about their software. It's all about buying Bitcoin. And that's where the value of MicroStrategy comes from. So without the mining costs, their profits and their value is going to go up. And because of that, I think Coinbase and MicroStrategy are actually better investments than mining stocks. They probably won't rise as much, but they are pretty much guaranteed to survive unless you believe that MicroStrategy is like Michael Saylor and of course Brian Armstrong from Coinbase are evil fat cats, and they're trying to rug pull you, which I don't think they are. I think there's a lot of safety in MicroStrategy and Coinbase, of course, unless Bitcoin collapses, which I don't think is all that likely. I think Bitcoin can hold on for about a decade and a half, so I'm not too worried about next year. Can't say the same thing 100% about Riot and Marathon, But I'm like pretty much like 70, 80% sure that they're okay. But I'm like 99% sure that Coinbase and MicroStrategy is okay. So even though they might have slightly less ROI than Riot and Marathon, I would probably still go for Coinbase and MicroStrategy because I still will get a lot of good gains. You can see that like Marathon Digital and Riot, they basically follow Bitcoin price pretty much exact 1-to-1. There was a hump in the middle of the year and then it kind of went down. So they went down and then it went way, way up at the end of the year because we surged up. So they're more of like a complete parallel to the Coinbase price, whereas this is like sort of a parallel, but not a complete parallel. Like you can see that we went up in the middle of the year, but we didn't dip down nearly as much during the lull, and then we went up again. So it's a much more even, gradual come up. And despite the fact that it's not like, 9x like Marathon, it is still a solid, 5x. So it's not bad. It outgained Bitcoin by about 2-to-1. So there's still plenty of like, good gains to be made here. And like even Coinbase and MicroStrategy are both solid with that in that altcoin territory of gains, at least like large altcoins like, Cardano or like Solana's altcoin territory of gains in terms of like what it'll do in the bull run. So I think like the best and most solid investments right now, maybe even more than coins out there, are Coinbase and MicroStrategy. And then Marathon and Riot if you want to take a little bit more risk, but go for a little bit more reward. But if I had to invest in stocks, I would actually do Coinbase and MicroStrategy. However, like my parents told me that they actually have some Riot stock. They've almost broken even on it because they bought in at like $18. I'm sure it'll go to like 50 like next year, so I'm not too worried about that for them. Just told them to hold on to it until they double and then sell it for profit, blah, blah, blah. But Coinbase, obviously, this is where kind of like I think I would actually want to be if I was investing in crypto investments. And in fact, instead of investing more in crypto coins, I might just want to buy some Coinbase stock instead because I feel like it is safer. I mean, the only real risk to Coinbase is SEC regulations, but I think Gary Gensler is going to lose that case because their continued harassment of the crypto industry is not going to go well. So that's my opinion. Now, I just want to like remind people that there are things besides buying altcoins, besides buying meme coins, and even besides buying just like other coins that you're not so sure of. I think Coinbase and MicroStrategy is actually much less likely to be a rug pull than any other crypto that you actually would buy out there. So there's a safety kind of built in. And plus, this does outgain Bitcoin by like a 2-to-1 margin, more or less. So I think this could actually be a safe option for you to buy if you're looking for a slight safety and more ROI than Bitcoin. Kind of like the Bitcoin ETF or Grayscale was last year. And I want to mention that it seems like the Richard Hart trial will actually begin in January. Now, I don't know if he's going to come back to the States. He said he's got his legal team ready. I think that was his Christmas gift to a couple of Hex and Pulse chain people, but I'm not really sure if Richard Hart can actually win. I mean, Hex, I think most of us realized kind of what it was in the end. Same thing with Pulse. Like Pulse, essentially, he just copied Ethereum almost exactly, copied all the projects. But I don't think there's anything on those projects, and he basically just took people's money. I don't know if he's going to demand kind of like an online virtual court because he's afraid if he steps foot in the United States, he'll end up like CZ with a much, much longer prison sentence, I think. So watch for fireworks in January, people. Watch for a lot of fireworks in January. I'm actually very interested to see how he defends himself. Because I feel like if the SEC can't like win against Richard Hart, they're not going to be able to win against anyone else either. And it's kind of like how the SEC is kind of failing against Do Kwon. Maybe Richard Hart will win, but there's a good chance that if and I won't really believe in him unless he like comes back to the United States to defend himself. If he stays around in the Caribbean or something, I think that's going to play against him with a jury in court. So we'll have to see what he does. I don't know like what lawyers he actually has. I don't know what lawyers would actually represent Richard Hart if he's like some random dude like kind of just like living out in the Caribbean and trying to avoid federal authorities, because that does give the impression that you are guilty if you aren't stepping back in the United States. At least CZ, no matter what people think about him, actually he came back to the United States in court to actually plead. Not really sure what Richard Hart plans to do. It seems like he is lawyered up though, or he might just be saying it on Twitter and he's full of it, like usual. So we'll see what happens to this guy. And remember, he is Richard J. Schuler. I'm sure they'll probably bring up his history against him too in the past. And we'll see actually like what goes on with this, because you know, like when he asked for pulse chain sacrifices, I'm pretty sure sacrificing to a black hole was just you donating him money, and they're gonna want to trace where that money went as well. So in the least, in a civil case, he would be forfeiting a lot of that money, and I'm not really sure if Hart is actually willing to do that. But we'll see where all of this goes. I'm very, very interested in this because I think it could have implications for the crypto market as a whole. And it might be one of the few victories that Gary Gensler could possibly pick up. So that's the news for today. Let me know what you think. Like and subscribe. Hit that bell notifications button. And I will see you guys later.